In a now viral 2015 TED Talk, Microsoft founder and philanthropist Bill Gates warned about the danger of pandemics. Now he's not pulling punches, challenging a decision by President Trump to halt funding to the World Health Organization. This as he and his wife boost their COVID-19 relief fund to $250 million, revealing to David Muir in an exclusive interview what they think we need to reopen the country.
There's going to be a lot of time to look back and what we could have done better to prepare for this. And hopefully we're all learning lessons in real time. But let's talk about where we are as a country right now, Bill. What should we be doing right now in the middle of this storm?
Well, we're still in the very acute phase where strong adherence to this social distancing is absolutely key so that we get to the peak and those numbers really start to come down. You know, within a month or so of hitting that peak, if we put in place the right prioritized testing, where the right people are tested and they get quick results, and we have contact tracing, then we will be able to start opening up. But it won't be a totally normal situation until we get a vaccine so that everybody's protected.
We've heard a lot from the president about the 30 days of social distancing. That takes us to May 1st, which is now just a couple of weeks from now. Do you see a possibility of the country reopening in just a couple of weeks, Bill?
Well, the numbers should drive us here. And a group we fund called International Health and Metrics and Evaluation is showing that the numbers are starting to come down. And maybe in late May, we'll have 1 per 100,000 active cases, because you don't want to shut down again. And, the governors have been good leaders. So that dialogue between the experts and the leaders, I think that's happening now. And our foundation is part of that dialogue.
And even when we talked to the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation this week, one of the discussions we were having with them is we all need to learn as places in Spain start to open slowly, different regions, and even in the United States, where the epidemic came first and where we can open slowly and watch and see what happens, particularly because we need to have more of the testing and the contact tracing. And you're seeing some places in the United States where the testing still isn't at all what it needs to be.
So what do we need to do right now in order to reopen the country to get back to, some sort of normalcy and sort of set a new normal, whatever the new normal is?
Well, I will say it's 3 phases. The acute phase we're in now, the semi-normal phase until we get a vaccine, and then the truly normal phase after the vaccine has protected all of us. That vaccine is probably late 2021. So the semi-normal period, starting whenever it does, a month, 2 months from now, will be quite long. And the idea, is that involve masks, how dense is the seating at restaurants, and the testing so that you immediately see if you have that exponential rise in any part of the country, and you can go in there and make sure that you isolate and don't get up to a lot of people infected, which would cause a lot of deaths. So fixing that testing regime, we need to have that in place before we move to that next phase.
So do you have confidence? I mean, a lot of Americans are going to say, well, wait a minute, we just watched what happened when we really needed the testing in the beginning of this. The testing just simply wasn't there. Are we going to have tens of millions of tests ready in just a few weeks' time to test folks before we try to re-enter society?
Well, the testing will move as we up the capacity so that the people who have the symptoms or have been around somebody who tests positive, they'll get it sent to their home. And so they won't have to go in. And we got the FDA to approve a thing called self-swab, where you don't need a medical person to do that, and it's got still the high accuracy. So that approach, right now it's a dialogue with the governors. We'll see if the federal government wants to get involved. That will really help with the opening up phase. And it's not just when the government tells us we can go and do things, people are worried. And so they're not going to immediately change their behavior. And yet, if we've really got the right things in place, getting back the economic activity is actually a good thing.
And even this home swabbing, the kits need to come and then you get 24-hour turnaround so you know whether you actually have it or not very, very rapidly. And then, yes, it will mean people doing the right thing and self-isolating themselves. And so I think people will need to realize that they need to do the right thing, but I trust that Americans will, but they need the testing.
Yeah, Melinda, I think you're absolutely right. I think Americans deserve a lot of credit in this because they did listen to the warnings and they have stayed home. And I think they're just looking for reassurance now. And I'm struck, Bill, by when you were talking about the phases, the semi-normal phase that you spoke of, that sounded like months and months of that. If a vaccine is still not until 2021, that's many, many months of this new normal.
That's right. It's almost certainly over a year where large public gatherings likely won't be taking place. We're likely to be using masks. Even in restaurants, there'll be some degree of spacing. The Asian countries that saw the disease first are still requiring all of these things. And so we need to learn from them. They've been able to do it without seeing a big rebound, so that definitely is good news. The contact tracing, we have to do that in a way that preserves privacy, because the values we have, and that's very achievable if we put the right system in place behind it.
Our thanks to David.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.